the year before last. Now Moore sliding in the pocket and throws, and that is a fingertip catch for the touchdown by Rico Gathers.
Unbelievable. His first football practice since he was like 13 years old came with the Dallas Cowboys last year. They drafted him. He was a good player at Baylor, and they just wasn't a football guy. So they said, all right, we're just going to redshirt him. We're going to let him go. But they started looking at him, and they said, this guy could be a real matchup problems for teams at tight end.
Position.
Welcome to Enough with the BS podcast, Dallas Cowboys edition. This is the first of many that I'm going to be doing throughout the season. My name is Tyler Butler, and I wanted to create a little something for the best and largest fan base in the world. That, of course, is Cowboys Nation. For those who are not familiar, I have another show with my brother Josh Smith called Enough with the BS podcast. It's a very controversial but funny sports show. You can check that out on Google Play or iTunes at any time at your earliest convenience. I'm not going to place a burden on you guys, but it's an excellent podcast. I would recommend go listening to it. But as I mentioned, this is going to be nothing but Dallas Cowboys. So, if you guys just, to kick everything off, I would love to have you on. I love fan interaction. I love feedback. You can reach me at podcastingbs@gmail.com. Once again, that is podcastingbs@gmail.com. Send me a soundbite. If you got something to say about our Dallas Cowboys, just email it in to me. I love to put it on the show. I don't discriminate. That is male, female, no matter what age, young child. You want to put your daughter on and feature on a podcast, put her on. As long as she's talking Dallas Cowboys. If she say anything about the New York Giants, I will delete the message immediately. But before we get into anything, guys, I wanted to congratulate Jerry Jones on making it to the Hall of Fame. And yes, he is a Hall of Fame owner. Say what you want to say. And I know everybody listening to this podcast are not just Dallas Cowboy fans. They're going to be haters. Because, guys, let's face it. People are fascinated with the Dallas Cowboys. So haters are absolutely going to tune in to see what I got to say and see what other Cowboy fans have to say about our team. And for those Eagle fans, Giant fans, and Deadskin fans who may be tuning in, welcome. I may talk about your team. It might be positive. Could be negative. I don't know what I'm going to say. But now one thing, let's get this straight and let's get this out now. What separates me from, I would say, other podcasts and your local podcasts, whether it's 105.9 The Fan or regular ESPN with Stephen A. Smith and other, Dallas Cowboy haters and affiliates, I'm different. I'm more of I set realistic expectations for the Dallas Cowboys. Not going to hear me come on here every week thinking that Dallas is going to win every single game. That's unrealistic. Who does that? Just the New England Patriots. But I'm not going to sugarcoat anything for you guys. That's just not me. Now, there are certain matters that need to be addressed about this Dallas Cowboy team. And that was the sole purpose of this podcast to be created, because I want to address some of those certain matters. Number one, guys, the off season. It hasn't been the best one. Some of these storylines coming out of training camp and before training camp even started has been downright embarrassing. Embarrassing, guys. I mean, the number of suspensions, they're piling up. Randy Gregory, who's supposed to be our star defensive end, Jerry Jones called him his baby, an ugly baby, quote unquote, to Jerry Jones, but nevertheless his baby, is suspended for the year. Now, one of our main issues going into last season is we had trouble getting pressure on the quarterback. Having your star defensive end suspended for the year will not help the cause whatsoever. But, we had David Irving and others that we thought was going to step up to the plate. But nevertheless, they are suspended also. Let's get into the matter. I'm trying to get my microphones connected, guys. I do this live. Also, you guys new to the podcast, I don't practice. I hit play and go. So you might hear a mistake here and there. That's what makes us human. But according to OregonLive.com, the Dallas Cowboys, since 2014, has had 15 number of suspensions for a total, 15 players suspended, not number of suspension, because the number of suspension is a total of 100 games. 15 total number of suspension equaling 100 games. That is damn near double to the second highest team, which is the Baltimore Ravens with 55. Cowboy fans, let's let that sink in just for a little bit. 100 total games that players who should be on the field suspended. Let's go through a few, shall we? Who's suspended this year? David Irving, as previously mentioned, who's supposed to be our star defensive end. Don't know what happened in the Green Bay game and why he didn't see any action. Maybe that's a question for head coach Jason Garrett. Or maybe he'll just dismiss it just like he did the Lucky Whitehead situation. David Irving is suspended 4 games for performance-enhancing drugs. The story he came up with, I believe, is absolutely bogus and laughable at the exact same time. We signed another defensive end from the New York Giants, DeMontre Moore, who was also suspended, drug-related issue. Those that are not suspended yet, but could be facing a suspension also. Damian Wilson. If you guys are not familiar with Damian Wilson, he is the linebacker who intentionally tried to run over a female. Yeah, I said that correctly. He tried to run over someone in the parking lot. Over a parking space. Just let that sink in for a little bit. Not only did he try to run her over, but a Good Samaritan tried to come up to her aid, and he pulled out a firearm, a rifle, on the Good Samaritan. Oh, he's going to be suspended. It's only a matter of time. It's only mostly a matter of how many games will he miss. Nolan Carroll, our other free agent acquisition from the Philadelphia Eagles, who we thought was going to step up to the plate and, from some of the losses that we took in our secondary, is also facing a suspension. I believe it was a DUI, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have that information in front of me. Then you have rookie cornerback Jordan Lewis. Now, his case was dropped for a domestic violence issue. Our rookie cornerback out of Michigan. And the most important suspension, which Jerry Jones said he don't believe he's going to be suspended, but still a strong possibility. Our star of the team, Zeke Elliott. The star running back, freak Zeke. Zeke the freak. Freaky is Zeke. Because he's doing a little too much. Got caught in the offseason lifting up a woman's shirt. We have the alleged domestic violence situations. Getting photographed in a marijuana shop. Granted, it was legal. But nevertheless, not a good place where you want to see your running back at in the middle of the season. He's under a year-long investigation, guys. Roger, like a year? Now, I don't have that story in front of me as well, but he was was a situation that happened at Ohio State. Domestic violence situation. He was cleared of everything. The authorities could not find anything to charge him on. But the NFL, in their all-of-a-sudden stance against domestic violence, just want to make sure that they don't drop the ball again. So they've been supposedly studying this Zeke Elliott situation for an entire year. An entire year. Inexplicable, if you ask me. But nevertheless, it's another suspension, possibly, for another Dallas Cowboy. I mean, think about it, guys. Just last year alone, you had Rolando McClain, who can't stay off the weed, and I'm not trying to sound like Stephen A. Smith, and also DeMarcus Lawrence, who got suspended for 4 games. Like, guys, what the hell is going on in Dallas? As a fan, we need to know. Because I'm getting sick and tired of turning on ESPN and breaking news, another Dallas Cowboy suspended from our defense, nevertheless. A defense that lost its entire secondary in the offseason. A defense that was, granted, they ranked 5th against the rush. But I believe it was 25th or 26th against the pass. You lose your entire secondary. One of the corners who you draft to replace the other corners could be suspended. The other corner that you signed to replace a corner will be suspended. How does this help your team? One of the defensive ends that you signed one that you signed in the offseason to get after the quarterback. The other one who you're hoping to improve off of last season to continue to get after the quarterback could be suspended. Like, what in the hell are we doing here, guys? It's not looking that great. It's not looking that promising. First 2-3 games for the Dallas Cowboys could spell trouble because we're going to have a lot of backups in the game due to all of our starters being suspended. I just hope to God none of them are Zeke. We need Zeke. Granted, I like our running backs with Smith and Morris and McFadden, which I'm going to get to them a little later. But I don't know. Dallas in suspension. Think about it, just a few years ago, guys. We signed Greg Hardy knowing good and damn well he was going to be suspended. But we signed him anyway. It's like Dallas Cowboys and suspensions almost go hand in hand. And as a fan of the team, and I know every single one of you guys that are listening out there, I'm starting to get a little sick and tired of it. It's getting a little old. I don't know if because nobody takes Jason Garrett seriously, or maybe Jason Garrett is saying something. Jerry Jones is overriding it, and they know, like, hey, Jerry he has my back. Now, one person that they did not have the back of is Lucky Whitehead. Man, that was a rough week for Lucky. He got his dog stolen. Somebody was holding it for ransom. Then he got his identification stolen. Guy gets pulled over, said he's Lucky Whitehead, knew his social security number and everything. So they come to the training camp facility and tell Lucky Whitehead that there's a warrant for his arrest. And he said, the hell are y'all talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. Dallas Cowboys was like, we don't believe you. We need more people. Cut them immediately. Later came out that Lucky Whitehead was telling the truth. He actually had no idea what was going on. The Cowboys jumped the gun. His agent came out and said, hey, the time of the allegation that happened, Lucky Whitehead was on a plane. This was not him. Then when they asked Jason Garrett about the situation, he continued to say over and over and over, we're doing the best for the team, for the interests of the Dallas Cowboys. Well, you know what, Jason Garrett? I'm interested in why in the hell your players keep getting suspended. That's pretty freaking interesting to me.